This is Mac OS Ken.
An interesting expectation for Apple Vision Pro, a security fix for a magic device, and Apple corporate governance news. Sounds fun, don't it? It is Friday, the 12th of January, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. TF International analyst Ming-Chi is out with a number for launch day Apple Vision Pro units that I find fascinating. Young MC's still hanging out on Twitter for some reason. It was there that he said, guessed, estimated. It was there that he said Apple will produce 60,000 to 80,000 units of Vision Pro for the February 2nd release. Since the shipment is not large, I believe that Vision Pro will sell out soon after the release. He thinks that's so because of the voraciousness of early Apple adopters, the groundbreaking technology innovations, and the fact that he's only expecting 60 to 80,000 units. What a messaging coup, if true. What if this thing that costs $3,500 sells out in under 24 hours? We won't know how many Apple actually had to sell. We'll just know they're gone. Then we'll see a wait stretching from here to who knows how long for orders placed after the initial round. Of course, those could change. I got the first Apple Watch earlier than my order said I would. The iPhone 15 Pro Max I got last fall also came earlier than the initial order indicated. On one hand, launching with so few units to sell sounds like a disaster. But again, we don't know that those numbers are correct. All we're going to see is the wait, assuming there is one, and not being able to get it anytime soon could make people want it more. If you've got a Magic Keyboard, you've got a security fix. You're going to have to be patient, though. You may remember stories from last month that outlined a vulnerability for Apple's Bluetooth keyboards. The way Apple describes it in a support document, an attacker with physical access to the accessory may be able to extract its Bluetooth pairing key and monitor Bluetooth traffic. Problem solved. Eventually. A piece from Mac Rumors says there is a firmware update addressing the issue. That's for a number of models, including the standard Magic Keyboard, the one with the numeric keypad, the one with Touch ID, and the one with both the numeric keypad and Touch ID. How do you install it? Yeah, here's where the patience comes in. The piece says Magic Keyboard firmware updates are automatically installed while the keyboard is paired to a device running macOS, iOS, iPadOS, or tvOS, with no way to manually apply an update. With Apple's Find My, you can track as many things as you want, as long as it's 32 things or less. I've got to figure that's as many things as you want, because who has more than that they want to track? I was going to say don't email me, but if you actually have more than 32 things you want to track, email me. I'm curious. info@macosken.com. Anyway, a piece from Mac Rumors says Apple has doubled the number of things one can track with the Find My app. In a support document updated yesterday, the Cupertino company says you can add up to 32 items in Find My, in addition to AirTag and the third-party Find My network accessories in the Items tab. AirPods Max count as one item, AirPods and AirPods Pro, first generation, count as 2 items, and AirPods Pro, second generation, count as 3 items. Kinda curious how that math works, but only kinda. I'm also kinda curious why we're only hearing about this now. Mac Rumor says it has confirmed that the number went from 16 trackables to 32 well over a year ago with the introduction of iOS and iPadOS 16, but the change was not reflected on Apple's website until now. All right. Times are changing for Apple's board of directors. The Cupertino company issued a press release Thursday announcing the retirement of board members Al Gore and James Bell, and they hope welcoming Dr. Wanda Austin, former president and CEO of the Aerospace Corporation. In that position, Apple says Dr. Austin led an organization dedicated to supporting the U.S. space program and expanding opportunities for future exploration. She was the first woman and the first African American to hold the position. With all of that behind her, Apple says the good doctor brings decades of science and technology experience to her role, and she has a significant track record of advancing innovation and shaping corporate strategy. Along with news of the departing directors and potential new one, Apple has announced the date and time for its 2024 annual meeting of shareholders. The date is Wednesday, the 28th of February. The time is 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and the place is wherever you happen to be. As they have since the start of the pandemic, Apple is making this a virtual affair. The meeting will see 8 questions coming before shareholders for a vote, starting with the management proposals. Those start with the election of directors. Apple's chosen a new one, and there are some returning champions, and they'd like the shareholders to greenlight those people. Next is ratification of appointment of independent registered public accounting firm Ernst & Young. Yes, please, says Apple. And an advisory vote to approve executive compensation. This one is a requirement, according to Apple's write-up of the proposal, so that's a mandatory yes. If you're keeping track, Apple management gives a big thumbs up to all the management proposals. What they are less into are the shareholder proposals, starting with a request for an EEO policy risk report. According to Apple, shareholders request that Apple issue a public report detailing the potential risks associated with omitting viewpoint and ideology from its written Equal Employment Opportunity Policy. Apple urges a vote against, saying it is committed to nurturing a culture where every great idea can be heard and where everyone belongs, including those with differing viewpoints and ideologies. The board actively oversees such matters, and a report would not provide additional material information, according to Apple. Shareholders request a report on ensuring respect for civil liberties. Apple's against such a report, saying it does what it can where it can, though sometimes it has to comply with local laws with which it disagrees, like it or not. They say they work with the UN, with NGOs, with human rights activists, and investors. The way Apple says it sees it, they already provide the requested information, so, they'd rather not have to have another report. A report is requested on racial and gender pay gaps. Apple says it already provides robust, transparent reporting and is working to further expand it in response to new regulations globally, so, again, why mess around with yet another report? Shareholders request a report on the use of artificial intelligence in Apple's business operations, and that Apple disclose any ethical guidelines that the company has adopted regarding its use of such technology. The company urges a no vote, saying Apple has been and will continue to be deliberate and thoughtful in the development and deployment of artificial intelligence. However, this proposal is premature in Apple's estimation in asking for a dedicated report when the landscape is just starting to emerge and regulators around the world are actively engaged in new rulemaking. And finally, shareholders request a congruency report on privacy and human rights, analyzing the congruency of the company's privacy and human rights policy positions with its actions, especially in such places as war zones and under oppressive regimes. Sounds fairly similar to the aforementioned request for a report on ensuring respect for civil liberties, so, again, Apple would rather not. The meeting is open for shareholders of record as of the 2nd of January 2024. Be on the lookout for communication from the bank, broker, or other organization that holds your Apple shares with more information. Coming someday to an Apple TV app near you, TV about soccer. I know, Apple doing TV about soccer? What are the odds? The Cupertino company issued a press release Thursday announcing the first ever all-access Major League Soccer docuseries, which you can go ahead and forget is happening for quite some time. Promising a never-before-seen insider's view into the league, the in-production 8-part series will spotlight all of the biggest moments of the 2024 season, which hasn't even started yet. It also doesn't have a title at this point. I'm thinking blah, 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 messy. And finally today, just because the kids are back in school doesn't mean there's not time to plop them in front of the television. Apple TV Plus issued another press release Thursday highlighting the slate of kids programming that's actually coming soon. Kicking it off, Season 2 of Sago Mini Friends. Referred to by Apple as an adorable nod to gratitude, the release says characters express their true thankfulness for all things, big and small, through optimism, kindness, preschool-friendly humor, and unforgettable original songs. There is a trailer for the second season now on YouTube. Sago Mini Friends Season 2 hits Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 26th of January. Next up, a new special featuring the Peanuts gang, Snoopy presents Welcome Home, Franklin. Billed as an origin story for the character, the release says Franklin's family is always on the move with his dad's military job, and everywhere he goes, Franklin finds support in a notebook filled with his grandfather's advice on friendship. How does that help him with Charlie Brown and crew? You can find out next month. Snoopy presents Welcome Home, Franklin hits Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 16th of February. And rounding out the lineup, Dance Your Cares Away, all the way to Fraggle Rock, Back to the Rock, Season 2. This time the release says, with big changes affecting the Rock, the Fraggles, Doozers, and Gorgs will be forced to confront their past and celebrate their interdependence as they move through challenges together with hope, silliness, and brand new songs. All of that and special guests, including Daveed Diggs, Ariana DeBose, Brett Goldstein, and Catherine O'Hara. Season 2 of Fraggle Rock, Back to the Rock hits Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 29th of March. This week on the checklist, brought to you by SecureMac, 2024 is an election year here in the U.S. and around the world. Some say it will also be the first AI election. We'll look at concerns around AI-generated misinformation and ways to avoid falling victim to it on checklist number 359, brought to you by SecureMac. Find it now wherever you get podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macosken. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.